We're going to call the meeting to order at 9:46. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Gershenson? Here. Gingell? Here. Hoffman? Here. Jackson? Here. Kokendorfer?
Here.
Kowal?
Here.
Kuhn?
Here.
Long?
Here.
Lubes?
Here.
Markham?
Here.
McGilvery?
Here.
Middleton? Here. Miller?
Here.
Nelson? Here. Powell?
Here.
Quarles? Spiz?
Present.
Taub?
Here.
Whitebert? Woodward?
Here.
Zach? Here. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum and perfect attendance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Commissioners. The invocation today will be led by the Honorable Commissioner Adam Kokendorfer and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner, everyone, please rise.
Leadership is hard to define. Lord, let's be the ones who find justice. Leadership is like a handful of water. Lord, let's be the people's share of those. Leadership is not about watching and correcting. Lord, let us remember about listening to next time. Leadership is not about telling people what to do. Lord, let us find out what to do. Leadership is less about the love of power and more about the power of love. Lord, as we continue to undertake the role of leader, let us be affirmed by the servant leadership we witness in your Son Jesus. Let us walk in the path he set, and let those who will follow. Let our greatest passion be compassion, our greatest strength love, our greatest victory the Lord peace. In leading, let us never fail to follow, in loving, let us never fail.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner. Next up, we have the approval of the April 2nd minutes. Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Spiz. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The minutes are approved. Next item, approval of the agenda. The agenda has been moved by Commissioner McGilvery, seconded by Commissioner Gingell. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. The agenda is approved as presented. Next up, we have communications. Madam Clerk, do we have any communications?
Yes, we do. We have a few today. Is this one read all of them? Okay. Oh, boy. Okay. The first, dated April 15th, 2019. Dear Chairman Woodward, please be advised that pursuant to miscellaneous resolution 19054, I am hereby appointing J. David Vanderveen, ex officio member, as my appointee to the Airport Committee. The appointment is effective as of April 15th, 2019 for the 2019-2020 term. Very truly yours, L. Brooks Patterson, Oakland County Executive. And I'm not sure how to read all this. Okay. The next communications are all in reference to the welcoming resolution. The first from the Jewish Community Relations Council dated April 17th, 2019, and they wrote a nice healthy letter, and I'm just going to read some excerpts from it. For millennia, the global Jewish community has suffered the deleterious effects of nativism, anti-Semitism, discrimination, segregation, and the worst of all crimes, genocide. Today, we at the JCRC/AJC continue to witness, while striving to combat the rise of anti-Semitism along with religious discrimination, nativism, racism, white nationalism, and hate speech. These odious scourges of intolerance, hate, and othering do not reflect the values espoused in our tradition. JCRC/AJC supports Oakland County becoming an official welcoming county that recognizes and supports inclusion and equity of all people, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, and national origin. Within the greater Jewish community in Oakland County, we have a diversity of Jews reflecting a variety of backgrounds, ethnicities, observance levels, and socioeconomic status. The diversity of the Jewish community makes us stronger. We know this firsthand. Even more so, the diversity and inclusion across the county makes us, as a greater community, stronger too. And this week, no less, we celebrate the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt. It is fitting that the Oakland County Board of Commissioners votes on a welcoming resolution the day before Passover. Therefore, and without any reservation, we strongly support this resolution to make Oakland County a welcoming county. And we have statements from a number of Oakland County residents and stakeholders, which I'll just read them all. Please extend my support for making Oakland County a welcoming county. I support the welcoming resolution. I am a Troy resident for over 25 years, and I'm unable to attend the Oakland County Board of Commissioners meeting. Please extend my support and thank Commissioner Miller for his leadership. My contact information is below, and it's signed by Michelle Pallas. Mary Moore wrote, I 100% support the welcoming initiative. My name is Kelly Jones, and I'm a 20-year resident of Troy, Michigan, and I overwhelmingly support the resolution to make Oakland County welcoming. It is the American way. Kelly Jones from Troy. Barbara McAllister from Ferndale wrote, I strongly support this resolution of Oakland County being designated as a welcoming county. All people from all backgrounds greatly contribute to the fabric of our community. Paul and Kathy Rizza from Troy wrote, we appreciate the opportunity to voice our opinion concerning the Oakland County welcoming resolution, which will be discussed at the Oakland County Board of Commissioners meeting on Thursday, April 18th. We are proud to be part of a community that puts a premium on inclusiveness and socially responsible behavior and is concerned about the impression we make on new members of our county, especially those who are born outside of the United States. The past few years have seen too many boundaries drawn and much hatred espoused by certain people in government who believe that we need to do everything we can to exclude immigrants from being part of our American communities. Too many leaders in our federal government have helped to sow seeds of anger and divisiveness. Partly because of that, we need to push back with local initiatives such as the Oakland County Welcoming Resolution so that new members of our county will feel welcome, safe, and protected by a resolution passed by a majority of people who see the value in every citizen, not just those who are born on American soil or are a certain religion or race. When we pool our resources and embrace diversity, we become stronger as a whole community. The Oakland County Board of Commissioners has a special responsibility to convey a sense of welcome to all members of Oakland County, and we thank you for sponsoring the Oakland County Welcoming Resolution. Carmen Bordea, the Program Administrator of the Arab American and Chaldean Council, wrote, Arab American and Chaldean Council, ACC, was excited to hear that Oakland County is considering being a welcoming county. As an agency serving Oakland County residents of different ethnicities, ACC strongly believes in welcoming communities. When we work together and accept each other, we create a better working and living environment for our whole community. Timothy Gauthier from Rochester, I hope I pronounced that right, said, I am writing in support of the Welcoming County resolution under consideration by the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. In my experience, diversity makes a stronger, more vibrant community, and new immigrants can bring new lifeblood, especially for parts of Oakland County which are still suffering from loss of population after years of economic downturns. Our economic benefits aside, we have a moral responsibility to do what we can to help refugees resulting from several global crises. We are one of the most prosperous counties in one of the world's most prosperous countries. We should be ashamed to consider closing our doors to children, men, and women who are in desperate need at this time. Please adopt this resolution and look for more opportunities in Oakland County to build our communities through growth as a country of immigrants again. Raylan Leaks May from the Ferndale City Council wrote, I am in full support of this resolution. I will not be able to attend any of the meetings due to my work schedule, but I'm very pleased to see the changes in leadership that have been made and the new welcoming environment. Thank you. Emily Duthin wrote, I am writing to express my strong support for the resolution declaring that Oakland County welcomes immigrants. We are a nation of immigrants. Immigrants have built and made America strong. Our economy and businesses depend on immigrants for both skilled and unskilled workers. Support for immigration is a traditional American value and is embodied in the Statue of Liberty, one of the symbols of who we are as a nation. I urge the commissioners to pass this resolution. Thank you. And finally, from Kathleen Taylor Logan, she wrote, I would like to advocate in favor of the proposed welcoming resolution on Tuesday, anyways. As an immigrant myself and an Iraq war veteran, I have many life experiences that justify my passion for this issue. Furthermore, as a council member of the Village of Oxford, I would like to inquire about how I can move our municipality forward along with Oakland County in this initiative to encourage and support inclusiveness in our communities. Please reach out to me anytime with any inquiries. Kind regards. And I think that's all. Right? I'm not ready.
Is that all, Madam Chair?
I think that's it.
Thank you very much. Move to receive and file the communications. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The communications are received. Next up, we've got a number of special presentations today, and to accommodate some schedules, I'm going to move some things around. I'm going to move the pinwheel ceremony for Child Abuse Prevention Month that we do annually following the congressional address by our special guest, if that's okay, and then we'll proceed accordingly if there's no objection there. There was one other thing that was passed to me. I think Commissioner McGilvery, do we need to the items on the board agenda and to suspend rules and waive rule 9G? Do we?
I make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right. To comply with the agenda. Moved by McGilvery, seconded by Miller. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries. All right. We are incredibly honored this morning. Our members of Congress live very busy lives and often are congregated in a completely different place of the country. We are very honored today to have Congresswoman Haley Stevens from the Congressional 11th District to come give a special congressional. If you want to come up to the front. Thank you, Madam Congresswoman.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner Woodward, and thank you to the rest of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. It is a true honor to be here with you this morning during our in-district work period. It is true. On a day like today, I would be in Washington, D.C., either in a committee meeting or on the House floor taking a vote. But it is a sincere privilege to be able to engage with you this morning and to share a little bit about my objectives in Washington, D.C., as well as what I believe should be a true partnership between the work that all of you do and the work that we do in the nation's capital. I often reflect that if you want to get something done in elected office, run for local office, become a county commissioner, become a county executive. As a county executive, you'll actually represent more people than a member of Congress, and you will have access to resources to move the needle readily in a community, whether it's in the public workspace or education, for the environment, or for safety. And I'd also like to take a minute to thank our law enforcement officers here in Oakland County who do such a great job at keeping us safe, at taking on the tough jobs, some of the things that the general public doesn't even fully know what you all do every day when you put your lives on the line. But that is a testament to this county commission and the leadership that we have long had in Oakland County. I reflect that if I was talking to you 10 years ago, Oakland County would feel like it was in a much different place. 10 years ago, Michigan was the nadir of the Great Recession. We were epitomizing what was happening around the country. Foreclosures, a downturn in industrial economic development, a downturn in our automotive industry. At the end of 2008, this country saw the largest drop in automotive sales in the history of the automobile. And we here in Oakland County, representing the largest, most robust automotive supply chain in the world, felt that readily. But what we did is we didn't cower. We didn't shy away from the challenges. What we did is what we know how to do. Keep our heads down, keep working, pull together strategic economic development practices, stick to our knitting, and not give up on our people. And so 10 years later, from some of the actions of which the federal government partnered with this region on, and some of the local and great leadership that we saw, we now here in Oakland County are responsible for enormous economic development. 75% roughly of the research and development in autonomous vehicle technology, 2-to-1 patents in the autonomous space, leaders in electric vehicle technology, connected into aerospace, very low unemployment, which is great, and home to tremendous public schools. Oakland County, if I have my figures correct, is home to roughly 30% of Oakland County is home to those who are under the age of 18. And so as I reflect on my first 100 days in Congress, which we just hit last week, my priorities with all of you and for all of you were to serve on 2 committees. One is the Education and Labor Committee, and the second is the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee. 2 committees that work together in really interesting and exciting ways. And no, that's not our partners from NASA calling in, talking about the recent launch that had a Michigander go up. A Michigander by birth, a woman who is now in outer space for I think what will be the longest trip of a female into outer space. But the reason why I sought to be on those 2 committees is because I wanted to support our public education sector, what we do so well here in training the next generation of automotive workers, of innovation workers, of engineers. We are home to incredible higher institutions of higher education, which I know all of you know so well. I'm proud to have part of Oakland University in my district, as well as Oakland community colleges that do such great work. But at the secondary level, what we are seeing with the Oakland County Technical Campus, that training for jobs in healthcare, in engineering. I was just recently at our campus out in Milford, and I was so delighted to go into the area where welding was taking place, and to see a student come out with the welding cap on, and for her to lift it up and say, "Hi, I'm a sophomore in high school and I'm getting my welding training." Or another student who said, "I'm becoming trained in computer numerical controls or computer aided design." It's an incredible best practice that the world deserves to know about. And so I really want to continue to double down on these partnerships and the way that we can work together successfully. We all know it's taxpayer dollars that pay our salaries, that pay and fuel the budgets of our departments and our agencies. And in the nation's capital, it's a large federal budget. And my priority is really for us to effectively utilize taxpayer dollars for outcomes. We here in Oakland County know prosperity, but we also know the pain of being overlooked for federal opportunities or being saddled with the price tag yet again because we didn't meet the distress criteria or the qualifications. And so I would like to be an advocate and a partner with all of you as you are applying for federal grants, as you are looking for those infrastructure dollars, economic development opportunities. And that is why it is so important that your member of Congress is on the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee. I was heavily encouraged by our junior senator, Gary Peters, to pursue an appointment on House Science, Space, and Technology, and much to my boon, because we have a lot of new people in Congress, and there's a lot of changes happening in the Capitol. And what we found is that 5 new freshmen were ranking members. And so there I sat as a ranking member in the new 116th Congress, right in line to be the subcommittee chair for research and technology. Why is this important to us, Oakland County? It is important to us because I now oversee the National Science Foundation and the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, two agencies that provide catalytic investment dollars to our supply chain, to technology transfer, and the ability to innovate. The question that I implore of my colleagues, and all of you should know this because this is what your Congresswoman is doing when she's in Washington and getting that precious time on the House floor to forge those relationships, no matter what side of the aisle you sit on, is I ask my colleagues, what do you see as the future innovations of the 21st century? The year 2019 is an interesting marker in history. We sort of find ourselves at a tipping point. It is the last year of this decade as we slip into a new decade. The 2020s are upon us. We are 50 years since we landed on the moon. And we don't want to talk about science in platitudes. We want to talk about science through a strategic approach to creating jobs and supporting regional economies like the one where we live. And so I ask my colleagues, what is our moonshot of the 21st century? Where are we going for the next 50 years? And perhaps it's selfish interest, but the answer keeps coming back to what we do here. Proliferating new technologies in the automotive space, ushering in those autonomous vehicle technologies to save lives, electrifying our vehicles so that we're selling into global markets. People don't realize, but Rochester Hills is home to the world's largest robot. Since the year 2004, we've seen $5 billion in Oakland County in new business development that is coming here from all over the world. We are a destination for Japan to come to invest. We are a destination for Indian OEMs to come to and invest. We recently saw that Mahindra came to Auburn Hills, investing in a whole new headquarters operation, and I phoned the CEO and I asked him for a meeting, and I asked of him, I said, well, why here? How did you land in Oakland County as Mahindra, as a global OEM, the first OEM expansion that we've had in automotive in over 20 years? And he said, it's the workforce, it's the ecosystem, it's the people. It's because we here know what to do. And so I share that with you because sometimes we get lost in the weeds. Sometimes we get lost in the failure to get the Amazon top 20, but yet we are succeeding in large and in small ways. And in particular, I think about our students and the priority for education. And that is why you will see your Congresswoman always in a classroom, always with an educator. Later today, I'm having a town hall on the state of education in Michigan's 11th district. To do it from the bottom up, to have the conversation right with the community. I know you do not need Washington coming into Oakland County telling you what to do. You need a true and proven partner in Washington working with you in a very effective and concerted way. I will close with this, although I thoroughly enjoy my time with all of you, and I can assure you this is not the last that you will see of me, in part because the work that all of you are responsible for truly means so much to me. But I will close with a quote that our invocation inspired, which is Truman's quote. And in part, it's because we do have some challenges hanging over us. We have some definitions around leadership. I reflect on the leadership that we have seen from the Board of Commissioners, from our County Executive Brooks Patterson, who doubled down during the tough times to help communities like Wixom regrow, which I'm very proud to represent. Wixom is a success story and it is home to tremendous innovation. But the leadership that we see every day, the commitment to action, Truman's words remind, America was not built on fear. America is built on courage, imagination, and to do the job at hand. So thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and for all the time to come.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I know your schedule is incredibly busy. We are so appreciative of the partnership and look forward to working with you. Colleen Prober is also in the House, the district, your district chief of staff, to also be a liaison to any member of the board to help support and access federal issues. On behalf of Oakland County, we know you represent Wayne County as well, but on behalf of Oakland County, as we embark on the 200th year, we want to present you with a flag to proudly display in Washington to remind you where you come from. So,
Well,
if
as
we,
a freshman, my walls do need more decoration.
Where you come from. And invite all other commissioners who want to take a photo to come on up and take a photo with one of our board members of Congress. We'll let the 11th district folks stay closer. We'll keep it tight. I'm just standing up on my toes now. Here, you get in this. Yeah, that's all right. I'm getting on my tiptoes to create height. Shorter people in the front. Here you go. An extra thing in the pocket.
So awesome. Yeah. Oh my God, great. Thank you for your.
Another thank you for our Congresswoman Haley Stevens. Next up, like I said, we're going to do the pinwheel ceremony. So we're going to recess. How long do we need to recess for? 10 minutes? 10 minutes? We're going to recess for 10 minutes. We're going to do the pinwheel ceremony. Commissioner Taub, do you want to come up and just give direction of what we're going to do? And we're going to go out front, hopefully between showers.
Well, there's a slight drizzle, but most of us won't mount. We're pretty tough. So we're going to walk out to the statue out there of Justice, and right in front of it, we're going to plant all these pinwheels. We're going to stop for a picture. I want to introduce Blythe. Blythe, you want to stand up, from Care House. We will follow out. Do you guys have pinwheels? You do. Okay, so let's everybody go fast and dodge the bullets and the
We
rain.
stand at recess for the next 10 minutes.
last Saturday, so I've done it for years in transition and giving it over to another because I need to go more in Detroit instead of spending all my time in Boston. And they helped me last year. Did all the instructions. I was there again. It felt like I was micromanaging. And still, you have to have guards out because people are greedy. And they went in to 0 to 3.
Let's call the meeting back to order. I want to thank everyone for their patience in recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month, a very worthy cause. The weather held up with us, and I want to thank Commissioner Shelley Goodman-Taub, who helps ensures that we make this happen every single year. Do we need to count the? Do we need to call the roll? We should, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll to convene us again?
Commissioners Gingell? Hoffman? Jackson? Kokendorfer?
Here.
Kowal? Kuhn?
Here.
Long?
Here.
Lubes?
Here.
Markham? McGilvray?
Here.
Middleton? Miller?
Here.
Nelson?
Here.
Powell?
Here.
Quarles? Spiz?
Here.
Taub?
Here.
Wipert?
Here.
Woodward?
Here.
Zach? Here. Gershenson? Everybody's here.
All right, everyone found themselves back to their seats. Excellent. The next thing up on the agenda is the presentation proclamation for the Bloomfield Township Public Library. I'd like to call Commissioner Shelley Goodman-Taub and Marcia Gershenson to the podium.
There was an open house in Bloomfield Township, the library, not too long ago. And because I don't have children anymore, little children, I don't use the children's section at all. Grandkids are too big for that now too. However, when I walked in there, I was blown away. Many of us, me included, have family members or children. I have a grandson who have autism or other disabilities. And this is the first of its kind, Jen. This woman put together this incredible library, first of its kind. If you walk in there, there are row upon row upon row of books for parents and children. And so we're going to present this to the Bloomfield Township Library, to the chairman, Judy, and to Jen. I will start, and Marcia will read some as well. Whereas this Youth Special Needs collection at Bloomfield Township Public Library is dedicated to fostering an inclusive community that is welcoming, engaging, and accessible for children with learning disabilities. And whereas since opening in January 2009, that's 10 years ago, the Youth Special Needs Collection has expanded to include several thousand items designed specifically for children with special needs and their caregivers, as well as English language learners. It is the largest collection of its kind in the state of Michigan, and probably in the United States, and is available to any Oakland County resident with a library card. So if you know of a child with a disability who lives in your district and they don't live in Bloomfield Township, if their family has a library card, you can walk into this library and use it and take out things. Marcia?
It's been more than 10 years since Jennifer Taggart, who serves as the Assistant Department Head of Youth Services, noticed more families with special needs attending programs at the library. As a mother of a son who at the time was receiving speech and language therapy, Ms. Taggart decided that there needed to be more resources for children with learning disabilities. With this important objective in mind, she helped draft a proposal to the Friends of the Library, who accepted the proposal and donated $10,000 to create a youth special needs collection. The collection was developed and based on expert input from educators and therapists. It features books, story boxes, toys, speech therapy cards, discovery skill kits, in backpacks, and audiovisual resources. And children with different learning disabilities and their families can participate in exciting programs geared towards their needs. Sensational Storytime is a monthly multi-sensory storytime program developed specifically for children who have developmental delays, autism, difficulty with large groups, or other special needs.
Whereas in 2010, due to the tremendous success of Youth Special Needs Collection, Ms. Taggart developed a statewide adaptive umbrella workshop to support other Michigan librarians expanding services to people with special needs. In 2014, she co-developed the Special Needs Services Roundtable. In 2016, Ms. Taggart was honored as a library innovator by the Library Journal magazine. And whereas we joined together to honor the Bloomfield Township Public Library Youth Special Needs Collection and Jennifer Taggart for their incredible contributions to enhancing the lives and learnings of children with special needs. Now therefore, Dave Woodward, Chairman of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, together with myself and Commissioner Gershenson, and with the entire Oakland County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim special commendation to Jennifer Taggart and the Youth Special Needs Collection at the Bloomfield Township Library. We thank them for their extraordinary service to the community.
Thank you. Sure. Hi, I'm Judy Lindstrom. I'm president of the board of the Bloomfield Township Public Library, and we have been working with Jen, actually not working, supporting her in this endeavor, and we are so, so pleased that she's receiving this proclamation. It's so deserving, and we couldn't be happier for her. And I know this presentation will be very moving for all of you and very informative. And we hope to see some of you at our library to take advantage of this wonderful program we have.
And I believe there's a presentation that follows this, so we dim the lights to make it easier for people to see. Get out of the way.
All right, so I'd like to introduce all of you to the Special Needs Collection that you just heard about this morning. First and foremost, though, I do want to give you just a bit of a background, as you've just recently heard. So when my son was receiving speech and language therapy when he was in kindergarten, he would come home with homework from his speech therapist, and they were little black and white copies of speech therapy cards. And while we were extremely grateful to have those copies to practice with at home, the librarian in me thought, I wonder if we could circulate the originals of these, and how helpful would that be to other parents with children that have special needs. So then a bit after that, I started noticing more families coming into the Bloomfield Township Public Library, visiting the library, looking for resources, families that had just received diagnoses, families with children who had just been diagnosed with autism, or families with Down syndrome or cerebral palsy. And so I started to take a closer look, not only at the national statistics, but also a closer look at our local community statistics in Oakland County. So as you can see, approximately 23,000 students in Oakland County receive special education services currently. And taking a closer look at our community in Bloomfield Township, in the Bloomfield Hills School District, students receiving county-wide services as well. So at the Bloomfield Hills Schools Wing Lake Developmental Center for ages 3 to 26 with multiple disabilities. And then we have the Bloomfield Hills School District Deaf and Hard of Hearing program also serving students K through 12 county-wide as well. Okay. So taking a look at those needs, I then put together a proposal for a multimedia collection geared specifically to youth with special needs in our community. And this is a part of our community that we had not specifically reached out to before. And in 2007, the Friends of the Library, which you see pictured there, they awarded us the first initial gift of $10,000 to start the development of the collection. And that collection has since then, from the Friends of the Library, received 4 subsequent gifts. And after receiving that gift, I then met with occupational therapists, speech therapists, special education teachers in the district to see what more we could do, what specific needs were there in the community. What could we be providing? What elements should we have in the collection to support these needs? So taking a closer look at the needs in Oakland County, as you can see, the highest prevalence is our students with speech and language impairment and specific learning disabilities, which would include dyslexia. And then also students with autism spectrum disorder and other health impairments. So we decided then to come up with some initial elements of the collection. We started with print resources for youth, so that's print resources for the child with special needs and their peers. So these are fiction resources, and also nonfiction resources for parents, caregivers, therapists, teachers. And I also added Braille. Story boxes. Our story boxes contain a picture book and tactile manipulatives to go along with the story, creating a multi-sensory learning experience. And then toys, which also include adaptive toys with capability switch option for those with fine motor difficulties. And speech and language concept card sets and audio-visual. Later on, since then, in the course of 10 years, we have also added other items to the collection, which include handwriting tools. So for example, handwriting without tears kits. We have added reading comprehension card sets, interactive books, American Sign Language story kits, discovery skills kits, which are backpacks which contain 4 to 8 books, along with games, card sets, and tactile manipulatives that support the learning of a basic concept or a daily living concept, again, giving that multi-sensory learning experience all in one backpack. And then later on, a collection of high-contrast illustrated picture books for youth with low vision. So these are some of those items in the collection. We currently have just over 3,000 items in the collection. And so up on the left-hand corner there, we have an example of one of our social skills games. And up in the upper right-hand corner there, that is an example of one of our toys with the built-in capability switch option. Which that game, Hi-Ho Cherry-O, might be difficult for somebody to normally play with those little teeny tiny cherries that you had to pluck onto the tree there. But with the capability switch option, a child with fine motor difficulties can simply press a capability switch to add the lighted cherries onto the tree. And then we have underneath that, in the middle right right-hand corner there, we have activities that encourage gross motor development and sensory discrimination. Those are tactile discs. In the lower left-hand corner, we have an example of an American Sign Language game. And in the lower right-hand corner, we have an example of an activity set that can be used on a light panel for youth with low vision. And as I mentioned, we also have handwriting tools. So in the upper left-hand corner, that is a multi-sensory handwriting trace and write game. And then in the center top there, we have an example of one of our speech language articulation card sets. And in the lower left-hand corner, that is an example of one of our handmade story boxes. Again, picture book with tactile manipulatives. Not only great for youth with low vision to experience the items in the story, but also great for youth with speech and language impairments as well, as the tactile manipulatives give a lot more meaning to the words in the story. And then in the lower right-hand corner there, we have an example of one of 22 Discovery Skills kits, and that kit is for our focus and self-regulation. So how can Oakland County residents use this collection? So if you are a resident of Bloomfield Township or work in or for Bloomfield Township, you can apply for a library card. As also mentioned, if you have a library card at an Oakland County library that participates with within the library network, which all Oakland County libraries do, you can register your library card with us and check out materials. And of course, everyone is welcome to use the collection inside the library. And I encourage all of you, if you are in the area, to come and check out the special needs collection at the Bloomfield Township Public Library. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Taggart. I think when people ask the question, what is the role of libraries in the age of the internet and Amazon, I think you have answered the question. So another round of applause for your leadership and the Bloomfield Library. How do we want to do the Care House? So we did the ceremony, but we forgot to present the proclamation. We'll find another time to be able to make that happen. That was my oversight. Next, we have a presentation from the Oakland County Health Network National Second Chance Month. Kathy Yunker, Director of Access and Acute Care, and Siri Sikora, Community Liaison Supervisor, if come forward and welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. My co-worker, Siri Sikora, had to leave abruptly due to a family emergency, so I am afraid it's a solo event this morning. We want to thank you all for your continued support of Oakland Community Health Network. We are here today to highlight what is known as the Second Chance Month. This is a fairly new proclamation and a fairly new celebration of identifying a month to take a look at what is happening for citizens in our communities who are returning from incarceration, whether that be jail or prison. Second Chance Act was initiated back in 2008. It was recently reauthorized as a part of the First Step Act, which was signed in December of 2018 by President Trump. It does focus on the nationwide efforts and provide supports to communities to raise awareness about the barriers that individuals who are returning to the community experience when they are exiting incarceration with a record. The hope is that these efforts in local communities will provide a much brighter future for these individuals and increase the safety and the community as a whole. The Second Chance Act certainly complements all of the Oakland County Justice efforts that OCHN and our other community partners have underway. We work very closely with multiple partners here in Oakland County to reach individuals before offenses and allow for diversion from ever encountering the justice system, through providing services in the jail when necessary, and as a focus today, the reentry piece of assisting people in creating meaningful and supported plans for returning to their communities. We work very closely with law enforcement on what we refer to as pre-booking jail diversion. OCHN has a full-time jail diversion specialist who works as a liaison between law enforcement and the community to provide opportunities to get people to treatment instead of to jail. We also have a liaison who is embedded at the Oakland County Jail, who is there to review the person's need for mental health services, get people connected to our network, or provide referrals in the community so that there is already a path for them to enter into treatment upon leaving the jail. In addition, for many years now, we have provided funding to embed a psychiatrist, therapist, caseworker in the jail through a contract with Easter Seals of Michigan to ensure that quality mental health services are available for individuals not just coming out of jail, but while they are incarcerated. We have just recently brought on a new liaison who is there to address the connection between the probation system and the community mental health system. We have found that there is a great deal of disconnect between our two systems, and we tend to be a bit of a mystery to each other. So individuals who are exiting jail on probation or who are coming from the courts on probation are finding themselves needing to navigate two systems at a time that they are most vulnerable. Our hope is that that liaison can help build educational opportunities between the two systems and allow for people to have better success at completing the requirements of their probation terms. We are also supporting a number of efforts that mirror these efforts, but on the juvenile justice side. It is certainly our hope that if we can intervene with youth and young people at earlier and earlier points of intervention, we are able to keep these folks from, or these children, these youth, from becoming adults who are then encountering the justice system. None of these efforts would be possible without tremendous partnerships across other Oakland County entities. The Oakland County Sheriff's Department, certainly the Oakland County Jail, Oakland Schools, Youth Assistance, the courts, all are key players in how reentry and prevention work for people who are experiencing a mental health need or behavioral health substance use need when returning to the community. On a local level, and I did bring a handout, I'm not going to go through it, but I did want to make sure that you had it available. We did want to mention that across the country, local communities are kind of bringing those efforts together through another national effort, which is called Stepping Up. Since 2015, 433 counties across the country have signed those proclamations. Here in Michigan, there are 21 counties, one of which is Oakland, who is identified as a stepping up community. Commissioners Taub and Zach brought that forward for this body to really be a highlight for how Oakland County can begin to look at how all of these different efforts need to come together to address that intersection of people with mental health needs who are also experiencing potential contact with criminal justice. What I'm bringing to you today for your consideration and review is that we have received funding through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services as well as the Governor's Diversion Council to provide communities with technical assistance in really ramping up the activities that are a part of being that identified stepping up. The Behavioral Health and Justice Center has been established at Wayne State University, and they have been provided funding to offer to communities an opportunity to engage their assistance and whatever is specific to that community, really help ramp up those efforts. We have worked with this group in our grants around diversion for a number of years, and we can really truly testify to their tremendous assistance in helping us with data, evaluation, and giving us the feedback we've needed to improve our resources. So I did want to provide that to you today, but I very much, all of us at OCHN, want to thank you all for the support that we do receive ongoing to ensure that our citizens are and can return to be very much a part of our community here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Next on our agenda, this is the time where we open the meeting to public comment. We did have a sign-in sheet, and I will begin with that. At which time we complete that, and you didn't sign up and would like to speak, we'll afford you the time. We ask when I call your name or recognize you, you come to the podium, we'll afford you 3 minutes to address the commission. And if you come to the end of that time, we've got a timer to help advise you, and at the time the timer goes off, I will ask you to wrap up your comments. So let's begin with Nancy Check. Welcome.
Thank you. A little tall. Look, stand.
You can bring up. Can we
I
adjust
would
it?
like to, I'm fine.
All right.
I'm good. I would like to thank Commissioner Miller for bringing forward the resolution which reaffirms our American values of welcoming foreigners. The negative effect of misinformation that's out there goes against this value and affects all nationalities and transcends generation. I am an Oakland County resident, and I am a daughter of immigrants. Earlier this month, an in-law misinterpreted the 14th Amendment, stating that the amendment only allowed for people who are born to citizens to be granted citizenship. At my birth, my mother was not a citizen. My mother did not become a citizen until the 90s. My parents were welcomed to this country after World War II. They met and married in Detroit's Corktown. They had little formal education and spoke very little English. Dad was a self-taught baker, and my mom was a laundry worker. They had 3 daughters, and even though they had very little education, they made sure all 3 of us attended college and graduated. Wayne State, Lawrence Tech, and the University of Michigan. They had 7 grandchildren, none of whom had legal problems other than minor traffic violations, all of whom graduated from college. Among the grandchildren is a film editor, a mechanical engineer, a corporate attorney, and my niece is a pediatric neurologist. If my parents were not welcome to this country, I would not be here, and neither would these 7 amazing citizens of our country. My parents' story is not the exception. My parents came here for a better life, and in return, they made America better. Their story is the story of immigrants. Thank you, Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Ms. Check. Next, I have John, is it Daoud? Daoud, excuse me. And could you also mention like the community that you're from, Ms. Check, you're from Milford, and you're on the list here, but for those who aren't on the list, if you could just state the community that you're from, it'd be helpful for the record.
Thank you for allowing me to be heard. My name is John Dowd, and I both live and work in Oakland County. All too often, immigrants settle in a region and are unfamiliar with their community. They don't know where to shop, where to go to worship, or how the schools function. The neighbors do not talk to them because they are different. Eventually, feeling unwelcome, they will leave. We need these people. They become contributing members of society. They bring diversity and freshness, which we need to grow like a garden needs sunshine and water. As an example, personal example, my wife immigrated from South America, and she's had a friend for 10 years, and this is only about 2 weeks ago. Her friend asks her how she's able to do so much without a green card. My wife politely responded, she's been a citizen for 15 years. My father came from the Middle East to go to school here with little money or support system and fell in love with this country. By age 34, he had his own Ford dealership and created and sustained hundreds of jobs over the next 50 years. And over the years, he created dozens of scholarships around the state. I urge the board to approve this resolution, send a message to everyone, everywhere, that Oakland County welcomes anybody and everybody so that when people arrive, they are home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dowd. Next up, I have Wissam Bricko from Oakland Schools.
Hi everyone, my name is Wissam Bricko. I'm an immigrant student consultant over at Oakland Schools. I do live in Rochester, and I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. I came to this country when I was 13 years old. I attended Madison Heights High School. I was bullied, harassed, made fun of, just because I didn't speak a word of English. I was told that once I learned the language, I should be okay. And I did. After a year and a half, I was fluent, or at least I thought I was. At the time, Madison Heights did not have a lot of immigrant kids. Things change now. But I spoke the language. I started speaking, talking, but now kids made fun of me because of my accent. Or made fun of me when I didn't know proper English. And I understand I'll always have an accent. But the fact that I was not welcome, or kids did not sit next to me at lunch or whatnot. So anyways, 2 years passed. My parents bought a house in Sterling Heights. So I was so extremely happy that I'm starting a new school, even though it's my senior year. So I started a new school, Stevenson High School, in September of 2001. You guys all remember what happened September 11th. Now, that alone was traumatizing enough because it triggered flashbacks because of the war in Iraq. Also, I was labeled a terrorist for a whole year. Now, I wanted to I was done. Kids offered me drugs or other things. Now, fortunately, my mom was a doctor back home for 19 years as a pediatrician. Now, she chose not to get her degree evaluated because as a doctor, when you come here, you have to redo your residency after you pass your MLEs. So imagine doing residency in her case, 4 years as a specialist, and 80, 90 hours a week. Now, I don't know where I ended up if she took that path. Now, that was selfless of her to give up her professional career. We never relied on government assistance. To this day, she works as a medical assistant. My dad was a civil engineer back home. Still and I'm sorry, this brings a lot of, I do what I do every single day, so kids don't go through what I went through. Now, I can't even compare what I went through to those kids who are coming now. Imagine that you've come in with already a war trauma.
with losing a dad, losing a mom, losing your house to a bomb. So I can't even compare my trauma to those kids who are traumatized themselves. And we do every day at community programs at Oakland Schools to create and hope that we can create this trauma mobile clinic to assist these kids. So just the fact that we can pass this resolution can go a long, long way. I know it's just a piece of paper, but you don't know how much this will impact all immigrant kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Denny Middleton.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Denny Middleton, and I'm from Welcoming, Michigan. And I would like to share a brief statement today on behalf of our organization in support of the Welcoming Resolution that will be discussed at today's meeting. And thank you, Commissioner Miller, for introducing this, and thank you to everyone for having the discussion today. Welcoming Michigan is a project of the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center and a member of Welcoming America. Since 2011, we have worked to foster mutual respect and understanding among immigrants and receiving communities. We are proud to partner with local governments to advance these goals. In Michigan, there are 20 cities and counties that have committed to making their communities more welcoming and inclusive, including 5 here in Oakland County. These communities are building relationships and making institutional changes to ensure that both US-born and immigrant community members experience equity and belonging where they live, work, and play. Passing a welcoming resolution is an important step for local communities to take. It signals that leaders recognize excuse me, and value the contributions of all residents, including immigrants and refugees. This is especially important in Oakland County, where 12.4% of the population is foreign-born, the highest percentage of any county in the state. Oakland County is home to many organizations led by and serving immigrants of all backgrounds. The county has a long history of welcoming those seeking refuge, including Jewish, Vietnamese, and Chaldean refugees. The Welcoming Resolution is a significant statement of the county's values and beliefs. It tells newcomers and longtime residents alike that they have a place here and that they belong. It encourages community partners to undertake initiatives to make the county more welcoming and build a sense of unity among residents. Most importantly, the resolution uplifts the innate human dignity that we all share. We encourage commissioners to approve the Welcoming Resolution. Your leadership will help ensure that Oakland County is a welcoming county for all residents, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or national origin. We support Oakland County's desire to create a community that celebrates the contributions of all and works together for a shared future. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, there you are. Next up, we have our county clerk, Lisa Brown. I was looking for you, but I was going to stall.
Right?
I got it. No, we're good.
How to work the timer. No such things here. So, thank you. Lisa Brown. I live in Oakland County. I work in Oakland County, and I work for Oakland County. And, you know, we heard Congresswoman Stevens talk about technology, and we often talk about Oakland County being a leader, and I wanted to brag a little bit about another example of that. Last week was the Google Next conference in San Francisco, and the programs that I brought to and had created for my office in the Register of Deeds office, the Super Index and Property Records Notification, PRN, were showcased at a session at that conference. And I'm really so proud of that. And unfortunately, it hasn't deterred fraud from happening, but it has empowered homeowners in Oakland County to be aware of what's happening with their home, usually your biggest financial investment. So again, if you have not signed up, remember that it is free. I encourage everyone to sign up at OCMIDEEDS.com. You'll get an email just to confirm your account. You pick whatever search term you want, your name, your address, whatever works for you. And it is done on our daily, so you would find out in a very timely manner if something has been recorded with your chosen search term. It doesn't mean it's fraudulent. It just means it's been recorded. It's great that this program that came out of this brain is being shared. Really, it was international. There are people from all over the world at this conference. And again, so Oakland County leading in maybe a little different way than we're used to, but this is what we do here. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and definitely have staff get something to circulate to all commissioners. I think it's something that the more that we continue to put out there to make sure that people are aware of people engaging in any fraudulent activity possibly on their property. I think it's an incredibly useful resource. I've passed it around to lots of people, and it's very user-friendly, so thank you for that. That's all I had on the list, so anyone wants to come up? Mr. Dan Stenzel.
Good morning, Commissioners. Due to an unfavorable weather forecast tomorrow, the marshmallow drop at Warden Park is canceled. However, there will be a drive-through option where people will be able to drive through and collect their goodie bags. So, unfortunately, we'll have to wait until next year.
I think we're going to throw marshmallows at you, Mr. Stenzel.
Well, that's okay. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you for that information. It is an event, if you've never seen it, to see thousands of kids run towards marshmallows falling out of the sky, literally. I think there'll be a lot of disappointed kids, but I'm glad that at least the prize will still be available to all that attend. Is there anybody else who would like to address the board during public comment? If you didn't sign up, you're more than welcome to come up to the microphone at this time. Seeing none, I'll declare public comment closed. We'll move on to reports of standing committees. First up is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Commissioner Gingell, seconded by Commissioner Markham. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the consent agenda, Commissioners Hoffman, Jackson, Kokendorfer? Kokendorfer? Yes. Thank you. Kowal? Kuhn?
Yes.
Kuhn?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton? Miller?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Wipert?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Gingell? Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The consent agenda is adopted, and there was a number of items on that agenda that we approved, and we're moving on to the regular agenda. We have 2 items that come before us today, and I'm going to start with the Economic Growth and Infrastructure Committee and ask Chairperson of that committee, William Miller, to come forward.
Thank you, Chairman. First, I have a little thing I made for this resolution. Thought it was important. So this represents the organizations and individuals that this resolution covers, and this right here is Oakland County. That'll be displayed going forward at my seat there.
Great. Great.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an item on the regular agenda, and before I read the miscellaneous number, I would like to have a few statements here.
Well, Mr. We'll get to the debate and the discussion.
Well,
So
a few statements about it.
we'll do that. We'll do that after
Okay.
we got to get a motion.
Yeah, no worries.
So,
All right, for the miscellaneous resolution number 19079, Board of Commissioners recognizing Oakland County as a welcoming county, with the report as followed. That Economic Growth and Infrastructure Committee, having reviewed the above referenced resolution on April 9, 2019, reports with the recommendation that the resolution be adopted with the following amendment. Amended the last whereas paragraph as followed. Whereas Oakland County encourages our businesses, civic groups, schools, government agencies, and other community institutes to undertake their own initiatives beyond the resolution, to make Oakland County a welcoming place for new residents from, and this is the change, retract other and put in all counties. Chairperson, on behalf of the Economic Growth and Infrastructure, I move to accept the foregoing report.
Motion to accept the report by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Zach. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The report has been accepted. Now onto the resolution itself. We, I imagine, moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Nelson to adopt the resolution of the report attached. At this moment, we'll open up discussion. Mr. Miller, I'll give you the floor to explain what's before us today, and then others can participate.
Thank you.
Proceed.
So, thank you, Chairman. First, I'd like to, a few quotes that I believe that this resolution represents. Darkness drives out darkness. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Excuse me. The time is always right to do the right thing. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent in all things that matter. These are all Martin Luther King quotes. So when putting this resolution together, I was looking at the resolution. It's less about an external behavior and more about an internal heart change, more like a heart posture. It's less about sympathy and more about empathy. The definition I found of empathy is a direct identification with understanding of and vicarious experience of another person's situation, feelings, or motives. I just had a couple questions to the commissioners here is, why do we strive in our careers to move up? Why do we encourage our children to excel in school? All these are the better the quality of their lives and their families. So if we're not doing that, what are we doing? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there any discussion, or at this time there's an opportunity to offer amendments? Commissioner Gingell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to offer an amendment and then, provided it has support, speak to it. So the amendment that I'd like to offer addresses the first whereas, and it would amend it to say, whereas the Board of Commissioners of the County of Oakland, Michigan affirms Oakland County is a welcoming county that respects the innate dignity of all people who have entered and reside in the United States of America legally.
Moved by Commissioner Gingell, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. Would you like to speak to that? Commissioner Gingell.
Yeah, if I could. So I think the welcoming committee as it is provided is very good. I think it is what we as a country and as a nation need to be working on. I think we all want newcomers of our areas and back to feel valued and to fully participate alongside their neighbors in the social, civic, and economic fabric of their adopted towns per the Welcoming America website. I think we all support immigrants coming to this country, and most of our families are a result of immigrants coming to this country, and no doubt we want immigrants to come and be successful. We want to support them. We want to support diversity. We certainly do not favor discriminating on race, age, gender, national origin, or any other protected class by any federal, state, or local law. It's just the principle that we are a nation of rules and laws, and I believe that this statement says that we want to remain a nation of rules and laws. However, we certainly are supportive of anyone that wants to come here based on the rules and laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gingell. Anyone else who wants to speak to the amendment? Commissioner McGilvery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to oppose the amendment, and the reason being is I think there is nowhere that I see in this resolution that's been presented that is acting as a source for illegal immigrants. And I think the intent behind this is to welcome all nationalities. So I would be opposed to the motion.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Gingell.
Yeah, just one additional comment. So I don't want to confuse the issue. This is not about a failure to welcome any nationality, any origin. It's just saying that we want to welcome those that have come through the country legally and in the form that is appropriate for people to integrate and immigrate into our country. So the resolution, in my opinion, is not clear in that way, which is why I'm offering the amendment.
Any other discussion on the amendment? I want to I'm going to speak to the amendment. We have a broken immigration system in this country, and I think everyone in this body would agree that we need reform to our immigration system. And I'm confident that, frankly, this body could probably figure it out. Unfortunately, Washington has dragged its feet to be able to come up with a solution. The reality is that today we do have children here in Oakland County that came here because their parents brought them here. Now, their legal status or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter to me. They are as equal American, all they know is this country. And those children, in my mind, are welcome here. Now, there was a way to try to address that and put it on a pathway to be in compliance with our immigration system, and now it's all tied up in the courts. Those children and the remarks that were made today, struck with me that I cannot support a resolution that would single out and say, everyone over here is welcome, but you are not, because they are welcome here in Oakland County. So I will be opposing this amendment. Any other discussion? Commissioner Hoffman.
I also support the amendment, but I guess if it doesn't pass, I still support the resolution for the reasons you just stated. There are people here through no fault of their own. They came here as kids, and I agree with you that they've been working on the Dreamer situation for a long time. They can't seem to resolve it. I think we are a welcoming county, a welcoming nation, and I think in general terms, I think it's good that we state that.
Thank you. Any other comment on the, comments on the amendment? So we're going to refer to this as Gingill Amendment number 1. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the amendment, Commissioners Jackson? Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Kowal? Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
No.
Markham?
No.
McGilvray?
No.
Middleton? Miller?
No.
Nelson?
No.
Powell?
No.
Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Weipert? Woodward?
No.
Zach?
No.
Gershenson?
No.
Gingill? Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 10 yeas, 11 nays.
An insufficient vote in the majority, the amendment does not pass. Brings us to the original issue. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Gingill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a second amendment I'd like to offer, and it deals with further down in the resolution, adding a be it therefore resolved that doesn't exist. And it would state, be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners authorizes measures to be taken in support of Oakland County becoming a welcoming county, with the restriction that Oakland County official resources shall not be utilized directly or indirectly in support of programs, projects, or initiatives that could be construed to endorse the practice of entering or maintaining residence in the United States in violation of the federal law. And I think I would like to add a sentence that's not on here that would say, excluding those dreamers that currently reside in the United States today.
So we're adding, excluding.
I was adding a sentence onto the end saying, excluding the dreamers that currently reside in the United States today. And if there's support, I'd like to speak to it. That is my motion.
Made by Commissioner Gingill, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. And Commissioner Gingill speaking to the amendment.
Yeah, so I think the point that's made, that we all recognize that there are children here that got here under a number of circumstances, a number of ways, and I agree with you that the immigration system's definitely broken, and it needs to be addressed, and we know that there are many issues that need to be fixed. But as Oakland County becoming a welcoming county, I think it is in our best interest to say that we want to continue to welcome people into the county and support those that are here legally, excluding those that have come through different circumstances that are here today that, in my opinion, need to be addressed in a different manner. So that's the essence of the amendment.
Thank you, Commissioner Gingill. Anybody else that wants to speak to the amendment? I want to speak to the amendment, and I'm glad to see the addition to be more encompassing and frankly more welcoming. I mean, addressing dreamers is related to the last previous amendment. There still are other problems. I think it was distributed already to both caucus. I intend to introduce the resolution opposing the mass deportation of, I think, more than 1,000 Chaldean residents right now in this country that came here to escape persecution. They're not dreamers necessarily, but we still have a problem. And I echo the point of Commissioner Gingell that our immigration system is broken, and I would welcome an opportunity to signal a message and bring our Congresswoman back, as well as all of them, to help advocate for reforms that make our immigration system work, but recognizing those flaws. I am opposing this amendment because I think it unnecessarily weakens the message that we're sending that all people are welcome. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the amendment, Commissioners Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Kowal, Kuhn,
Yes, I'm sorry.
Long, Lubes,
No.
Markham,
No.
McGilvray,
No.
Middleton, Miller,
No.
Nelson,
No.
Powell,
No.
Quarles, Spiz, Taub,
Yes.
Whitebird,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes. No. No. I've already moved ahead. I'll move the thing up.
Let's try one more time.
No.
Woodward, okay. Zach,
No.
Gershenson, Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson. Mr. Chair, you have 10 yeas, 11 nays.
An insufficient voting in the affirmative, the amendment does not pass, which brings us back to the original, the resolution that's before us today. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Kowal. No. Kuhn,
Yes.
Long. No. Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton, Miller,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Quarles, Spiz,
No.
Taub,
No.
Whitebird,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson, Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson, Kokendorfer.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 16 yeas, 5 nays.
A sufficient voting in the majority, the amendment is adopted, recognizing Oakland County as a welcoming county. Thank you, Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Chair. That concludes my report for the Economic Growth Infrastructure Committee. I'd say this resolution truly makes Oakland County a county where we can live, work, and play for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next up, I will bring forth or invite to the podium the Chair of the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, Nancy Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 2 items on the regular agenda today. The first one is MR 19051. The Board of Commissioners support legislation to raise the age for juvenile offenders in Michigan.
And you have a report?
I would like to read the report. Amending the following, therefore, oh, excuse me, that's somebody else's. The Legislative Affairs and Government Operation Committee has reviewed the above referenced resolution on April 8, 2019. Reports that the recommendation that the resolution be adopted. Chairperson, I would like to, on behalf of the Legislative Affairs and Government Operation Committee, I move the acceptance of the foregone report.
Motion by Commissioner Coral, seconded by Commissioner Gilvery to accept the report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The report is received. And now we're on to the motion. So Commissioner Corals moves adoption of the resolution, the support legislation to raise the age for juvenile offenders in Michigan. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Zach. Any discussion? Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to offer an amendment. First off, I'd like to thank, I believe it was Commissioner Zach who first introduced this, and the other commissioners who assist as well. I think it's a very important issue. It's my understanding that Michigan is one of very few states who still treats 17-year-olds as adults in the criminal justice system, so I think it's good. I think it has to be addressed. That being said, when I looked at the fiscal analysis the state legislature does, in almost every instance it stated that the cost to local government was indeterminate. That was the words that they continued using, and that makes me a little nervous before I sign on board and sponsor something before I know what the price tag is. The fact of the matter is that there is nearly an unlimited number of good things that this body can do, and unfortunately with limited resources. So I get a little antsy before I know what the cost is. And so that's why I'm offering an amendment to the very first, to now therefore be it resolved on this. At the very end of that, it would state, comma, contingent on the Michigan legislature appropriating funds that cover all direct and indirect costs of such legislation and providing full reimbursement to local governments of any such costs. That eliminates my concern about what is the cost to this body, and I could fully support it as a result.
So moved by Commissioner Kokendorfer, supported by Commissioner Kowal. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Kokendorfer, you pretty much explained the amendment already. So, okay, so Commissioner Zach.
So I introduced this. This is clearly the right thing to do, and it allows us the judges, the prosecutors' discretion on not sending minor things into adult court. I think that these are strong terms. Part of why I waited to introduce this, there is a funding mechanism going through with this bill to, appropriate funding. But this is strong language, all direct and indirect costs. How do I quantify all? If we had to invest a little bit of our county dollars doing the right thing, I think that's the right way to go. So I don't want us to preclude, because we might have to invest a little bit of money doing the right thing. So I'm going to vote against the amendment.
Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Sure, and I can fully appreciate that, Commissioner Zach. My only point is I don't know whether it's a little bit or a lot. That's all.
Discussion on the amendment. Commissioner Tao.
Thank you. One of the things that this body totally has fought against for all the years that I have sat here are unfunded mandates. It's really nice to sit in Lansing or Washington and tell us little guys what to do, but where is the cash to do it? And certainly I commend Commissioner Zach. This is an absolutely incredible way. I believe it's frankly too late, but we have to know, and I've been searching, by the way, past couple weeks since this came up, for answers. We still don't know how many 17-year-olds we have in the system in regular court and or prison, regular jail, in prison. And my concern is that we also don't know whether we have to build more of a bigger facility. Now, we're different than a lot of counties, because the vast majority of small counties, if you look at them, very carefully, you will see that they outsource all the 17-year-olds and many of the underage kids too. They don't have a children's village. We have something that is very, very special in this entire state. It's a state-of-the-art facility. And if we have to build more buildings, we have to, I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the cost to the county. Again, what we're trying to do here really is with this amendment is not to foster unfunded mandates. Now, sadly, yesterday, the funding mechanism in committee failed, It went down. So we don't have any guarantees or any promises now for funding. MAC, Michigan Association of Counties, supports having some type of mechanism for funding. And so some kind of a promise, 50%, 20%, 100%, whatever it may be. We don't have that at all. And so although we have a wonderful idea, people in this state who don't have the resources that we have in Oakland County are really, really having difficulties with this, and that's why I will be supporting this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Powell, on the amendment.
I just have a quick question. Because they're talking this finance, right, issue, if a financial issue did come before us, wouldn't it go to Finance Committee first for us to move forward or amend this accordingly? I'm just trying to figure out.
Clarification, the resolution ultimately before us is support of legislation. So it is a motion, I mean, the resolution speaks in support of legislation it's before Lansing right now. So there is no budget implication at the moment.
But if there was, wouldn't it come through Finance Committee anyway?
I would imagine sometime, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Gingell.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on
amendment.
Commissioner Powell's comment because I think it's a really good one. By supporting this a resolution today, what we're saying to the legislature in Lansing is that, yes, we agree you should pass this bill, and although there's no funding coming to us at Oakland County to figure out how to implement it, we still want you to do it. That's what we're saying with the resolution as it exists. The amendment says we support all that, but we would like you to provide us a mechanism to fund it. And I want to follow up because as we're entering the budget season, we know that we're going to, I believe that the Water Resource Commission's looking for a new building. I believe the Sheriff's Department may be looking for enhancements to their training facilities, et cetera. We have capital improvement programs going on within the current county infrastructure. And so we have a number of things coming to take the money that we have available, and as we continue to pass things that have no funding coming with them, I just want to make sure that we're all under the standing that we're going to have to sit down and make decisions, because at some point we'll have a lot of programs and potentially not enough budget to fund them. So I think the reason why we're requesting this amendment is to send the message or request in Lansing to say, we agree with the legislation, think it's good, but help us find a way to fund it. Don't just pass it and throw it down to us. And so I understand the word about, all direct and indirect costs. A discussion may be had around a friendly amendment that says that recovers associated costs of legislation and providing reimbursement. That would be up to the maker of the amendment, but this is about saying we support the concept, but we want to ensure there's some funding that comes along with it.
Thank you, Commissioner Gingell. Commissioner Hoffman, then Commissioner Kokendorf.
I agree with Commissioner Gingell regarding this amendment. I think it's prudent, I think it's responsible, and as he already said, the fact that we're asking them to pay instead of an unfunded mandate does not diminish the fact that we all support this legislation, and I think it'll pass. But I think it's prudent that we ask them to step up to the plate and don't give us another unfunded mandate. And I'm sure, as Commissioner Zach said, that the county may have to pony up some money. But if they're going to pass the legislation, have them fund it also. But I do support it.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. I'm going to go to Commissioner Jackson and Kowal to speak for the first time, and then Commissioner Kokendorf.
Thank you,
Jackson.
Chair. Thank you. I just want to comment and piggyback on Commissioner Powell's comments as far as our process for funding initiatives and funding things that are for the county good. This issue is something that is very important, and I don't want to just economize the resolution and people's lives. I think that this issue does deserve some type of funding and could be funded in part by the county, as well as maybe asking something from the state. But I think that we should go ahead and approve this resolution on the fact that it is a good resolution, and it can help a system that's broken. And I feel as though that we will have a chance to authorize funding toward this effort in our regular process. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Kowal, then Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And while I do realize that, you know, this is a very, very worthy endeavor, I would like to kind of piggyback on Commissioner Gingel's comments. And many of us, particularly those of us on finance, recently sat through a presentation from Deputy County Executive Robert Dadow about the upcoming resource competition and things that are going to be happening in the county. And we're looking at probably numerous Headley rollbacks coming up. So, I mean, I think that we need to be cognizant of, we're sitting okay right now, we're sitting pretty good, but we don't really know what the future holds. And every time that we have to consider something, funding something new, we need to take all of these implications and all these things into account. That the whole idea of resource competition, yes, there's a lot of good things and worthy things, but we have to, at the end of the day, be fiscally responsible, and so that's why I'm in support of this amendment.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Well, thank you. I appreciate all the comments. They're well taken. I'd just like to note, though, that if this county does have to spend money, yes, it would go to the Finance Committee, but if the state has created a mandate that says we have to spend certain money, we may not have much say in it. We can mess with it at the margins, but at the end of the day, we would not have full discretion. Essentially, that discretion could and would be taken away by the state legislature. All that being said, I'd like to modify my amendment slightly. I will rely on the chair to tell me if I'm doing this wrong. But the word all direct, indirect costs, I'd like to replace all with associated direct and indirect costs. May not make a difference to some of the commissioners, but I do think it softens the language somewhat.
So, so clarification, you're adding the word associated?
I'm replacing the word all with associated. Associated direct and indirect costs.
To cover associated direct costs. And so, I guess are you moving to amend your amendment to strike all and put in associated?
Sure.
Motion made by Commissioner Kokendorfer. Is there a second by Commissioner Middleton? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay. So the amendment now reads, instead of all, associated. Any further comments? Commissioner McGilvery, Markham, and then Taub for a second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thought it was board policy that we get a copy of the written amendment, and I haven't seen that yet, so.
Gary? It was
yeah. I believe it was distributed. I should have asked for clarification, but I believe the amendment was distributed. So I apologize for bringing that. So, Commissioner McGilvery, it's in front of you. The word all in the second, second from the bottom line is now, should read now associated based on what we just did. Commissioner Markham, and then Commissioner Taub.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief. I think this is the right thing to do. I just feel like, you know, we need to support this effort to treat juvenile offenders as juveniles. And there are a lot of places, I believe, in the budget that are going to be looked at this year as we move into our finance and budgeting process. And I have every confidence that for an issue as important as this, that we will find the money. So I will be in support of the resolution and against the amendment.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Taub.
Thank you. I just received an email yesterday from Steve Curry. Steve happens to be the director of Michigan Association of Counties, MAC, and he stated, and I will read this, with the uncertainty about what the state is going to provide and not provide, we, meaning all of the counties, would be submitting budgets with absolutely no certainty to get any money back. How do we budget if we do not know what the state reimbursement will be for the next fiscal year, or if they're going to pay us at all? It's impossible. So what MAC is looking for is no different than what this amendment was. They are looking for certain, not just Oakland County. Yeah, we can come up with the money. We'll find the money. But there are, I hate to say this, 82 other counties, maybe about 80 of them, or 79 of them, that will struggle and won't have the funding. So I'm looking at the whole picture entirely. I don't disagree with the policy, but I think there has to be cash behind that policy, or some type of direction from the state. And yesterday, that portion failed in committee, okay? It went down. So there is no funding. There are a bunch of bills putting 17-year-olds in the juvenile system, but there's absolutely no funding guarantee. And again, you know, if you let one unfunded mandate go, just one, when's the next one gonna come? So I'm asking us to vote on two things. One, the idea, the wonderful idea, which I agree with, and secondly, tell the state that they have to come up with some formula. We have a formula for 16 kids up through 17, okay? We have that already. Are you gonna send that on to us? That would be okay. Do something with it. But we don't have any guarantees that once we get those kids, it's not in the law, it's not in the budget. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Taub. A point of information, I guess I think it's important to realize if in committee there was an amendment that was added. It said, be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners urges the legislature to monitor and adopt an appropriate funding mechanism through the Department of Health and Human Services to cover the additional costs associated with increasing the age of juvenile court jurisdiction from 17 to 18. So that is actually part of the total resolution, which speaks to the funding issue. I just point of information that's in the resolution currently. Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You brought forth the point.
Oh. I thought I was providing help.
Excuse me, Mr.
Commissioner Gingell.
Yeah, I just want a point of clarification, because I was looking at the packet and maybe I missed it, but I didn't see that amendment or that language tied to the resolution itself. And if it is clearly tied to the resolution, then I think that is saying essentially the same thing as this amendment, so.
I mean, on the packet itself. So if you pull up the packet.
I had it up, I'm pulling it up again.
Okay. It is the second from the bottom, be it further. It's actually the be it further resolved clause after the one that this amendment is amending. I'll give a moment for people to pull it up, but I'll read it out. I mean, again, it says, be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners urges the legislature to monitor and adopt an appropriate funding mechanism through the Department of Health and Human Services to cover the additional costs associated with increasing the age of the juvenile court jurisdiction from 17 to 18. Commissioner Kokendorfer.
That's true, Mr. Chair. That is in the resolution. The problem with that is that our endorsement of the bills is not contingent on the funding mechanism. This almost reads as if that funding mechanism could happen afterwards. I'm saying they should happen at the same time. At the same time that these bills pass, that funding mechanism should be in place simultaneously. That's the reason for my amendment.
And I guess, I think the sentiment, and it's been said by many commissioners, I'm just going to add to the debate that, as a former legislator, I fully appreciate the sentiment being discussed here. We support the policy. We think the state should also fund it appropriately. I personally think that the resolution in its entirety does that. The fairness, to sit back and say, you know what, we're not going to support legislation that makes our justice system more fair, and make it contingent, as the previous speaker just said, is not good enough for me. That our justice system is flawed, and we need to fix it. And it should have always been this way. It should never have been this way before. And I think that the concern of calling on the legislature to fund it is captured in the resolution with the second from the bottom, be it further resolved clause. So I will be opposing the amendment as offered. Commissioner Hoffman.
I don't think the amendment is saying that we're going to support this, but it's contingent upon them funding it. I believe this is going to get passed, and I think these laws are going to pass. I think they should pass.
Commissioner, the amendment actually says contingent. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll be voting on the amendment. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yep. On the amendment, Commissioners Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes, Markham, McGilvray,
No.
Middleton, Miller,
No.
Nelson,
No.
Powell,
No.
Quarles,
No.
Spiz,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Weipert,
Yes.
Woodward,
No.
Zach,
No.
Gershenson, Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman. Jackson.
No.
Kokendorfer.
Yes.
Kowal. Mr. Chair, you have 10 yeas, 11 nays.
An insufficient vote in the majority, the amendment fails. Brings us to the full amendment, to the full resolution before us. Commissioner Gingell.
Yes, just one additional moment, please. Thank you. I am looking at the resolution now. I've pulled it up again, and I am seeing the be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners urges the legislature to monitor and adopt an appropriate funding mechanism through the Department of Health and Human Services to cover the additional costs associated with increasing the age of the juvenile court jurisdiction from 17 to 18. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding, as the chairperson of the committee and the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, your intention here is to try to tie bar the two, to say we think it's good legislation and we do think that you ought to find a way to fund it versus just sending an unfunded mandate down to us.
Yes.
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 And if that's the clarity and the mindset, then I think the resolution as presented makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Quarles, did you have something to say? No. Commissioner Taub, on the resolution.
Well, I'd like to add to that, if I may, that the Oakland County Board of Commissioners opposes unfunded mandates.
Is that it?
Be it further resolved. Well, do we oppose them or do we not oppose them? That will make it very, very clear, Mr. Chair.
Under our policies, we have to have put the amendments in writing. We can take a recess to have it in writing.
Okay.
You want?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay. We're gonna.
Is there a staff person?
We will recess for 5 minutes.
Okay.
To have the resolution drafted.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, is there a second to that motion, to the amendment?
No, it's not per our policy, amendments are to be in writing, and we have, in practice, afforded the time for commissioners to write amendments. We're going to call the meeting back to order. I guess we call the roll again? Madam Clerk, can you just please call the roll to make sure that we're all here?
Okay. Calling roll. Commissioners Long.
Here.
Thank you. Lubes. Here. Markham. McGilvray. Middleton. Miller.
Here.
Nelson. Here. Powell. Quarles. Spiz.
Still here.
Taub.
Looking.
Whitebert. Woodward.
Here.
Zach. Here. Gershenson. Gingell.
Here.
Hoffman. Jackson. Kokendorfer.
Here.
Kowal. Kuhn.
Here.
Hey, we still have 21.
All right, we're still all here. Good, okay. So a resolution, an amendment has been drafted in writing, distributed to everybody. Commissioner Taub, you move that amendment?
Yes, and it would follow, if I may, Mr. Chair, it will follow the words from 17 to 18. The now therefore be resolved, right after court, jurisdiction from 17 to 18. And then we would insert there, be it further resolved that the Oakland County Board of Commissioners opposes unfunded mandates.
Support. Wait, okay, so where are you putting it? After the now therefore be it resolved.
Right, after the now there, the first.
Okay, there we go.
after
Okay,
now
so
there.
okay, it'll be inserted after the now therefore be it resolved clause.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, and it was supported by Commissioner Gingell. I think we've discussed the merit of the sentiment. I'm going to just take a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The amendment is adopted, which brings us to the full resolution. Any further discussion? Everyone's happy? Yeah. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Lubes.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes.
McGilvray.
Yes.
Middleton. Miller.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Powell. Quarles. Spiz.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Whitebert.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Gershenson.
Yes.
Gingell.
Yes.
Hoffman. Jackson.
Yes.
Kokendorfer.
Yes.
Kowal.
Yes.
Kuhn.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
We can do it. Sufficient vote in the majority, the resolution is adopted. Madam Chair, Commissioner Quarles, do you have any further business?
Yes. The second item is Corporation Council appointment. The Legislative Affairs and Government Operation Committee have reviewed the appointment by County Executive Joel Shortley to the position of Corporate Counsel. Recommends concurrence with this appointment pursuant to Public Act 139 of 1973. Chairperson, on behalf of the Legislative Affairs and Government Affairs Committee, I move the acceptance of the foregoing report.
We motion by Commissioner Quarles, seconded by Hoffman to accept the report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The report is accepted. And Commissioner Quarles moves the appointment of Joellen Shortley as our new Corporation Counsel for Oakland County. Do I have a second? The second by Commissioner Hoffman. Any discussion? I will say that we've had an incredible honor to have Joellen Shortley serve us and be our liaison in the Corporation Counsel office. I'm excitedly looking forward to voting to confirm her to be the new Corporation Counsel for Oakland County. With that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the appointment, Commissioners Markham. Yes. McGilvray.
Yes.
Middleton. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Powell. Quarles.
Yes.
Spiz.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Whitebert.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Gershenson.
Yes.
Gingell.
Yes.
Hoffman. Jackson. Kokendorfer.
Yes.
Kowal. Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes.
Yes.
Congratulations, there are 21 yeas, 0 nays.
Commission voting the majority of the new Corporation Council, Joanne Shortley. Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the reports of the Legislative Affairs and Government Operation Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Now I've lost my paperwork. Okay, here we go. That brings us on to reports of special committees. We have none. Special order of business, none. Unfinished business, none. And we're on to new and miscellaneous business. And if people can form a line. And Commissioner Jackson,
Thank you,
the floor is yours.
Chairwoman. Today I'm presenting miscellaneous resolution 19 to the Board of Commissioners to establish the Oakland County Complete Count Committee, which will serve as a leading resource for Oakland County in pursuit of a complete count of our residents in the year 2020 U.S. Census. And I'm going to be referring this to the Legislative Affairs Government Operations Committee.
Referred without objection. Commissioner Long.
Okay, I have a couple. Board of Commissioners, Tri-Party Road Improvement Program Fiscal Year 2019 Appropriation, Village of Wolverine Lake, Traffic Signal Upgrade Work on Benstein Road at Glengarry Road, and it refers to Economic Growth and Infrastructure Committee.
Referred without objection.
And the next one, Tri-Party Road Improvement Fiscal Year 2019 Appropriation, Village of Wolverine Lake, resurfacing of intersections of McCoy Road at Ladd Road, South Commerce Road at Indiana Street, and Benstein Road at Apple Orchard Lane, and that is not my piece of property. It's the next town. I thought, I never even heard of that street. I gotta go see. Refer to Economic Growth and Infrastructure Committee.
Referred without objection.
Yeah, the next town over.
Commissioner Markham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am requesting suspension of the board rules for immediate consideration of miscellaneous resolution 19, designating April 22nd, 2019 as Earth Day in Oakland County.
Motion made by Commissioner Markham, seconded by Commissioner McGilvery. To suspend the rules, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The rules are suspended. To take it up immediately, Commissioner Markham moves the resolution.
Great.
Seconded by Commissioner Spiz. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Furiously writing everything. Okay, on the resolution designating Earth Day, April 22nd. Commissioners McGilvery.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes.
Miller. Nelson.
Yes.
Powell. Quarles. Spiz.
Yes.
Taub. Whitebird. Woodward.
Yes.
Zach. Gershenson. Gingell.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Jackson. Jackson. All right. Kokendorfer.
Yes.
Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, couldn't hear you. Kowal?
Yes.
Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
She's not back. Okay, Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient vote in the majority, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Miller.
They did that one.
Thank you, Chairman. I request to suspend the board rules for immediate consideration under new business miscellaneous resolution 19. The Board of Commissioners designate May 2019 as Mental Health Month and May 6, 2019 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Day in Oakland County.
There's a motion to suspend the rules to take up this resolution immediately. Moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The rules are suspended. Commissioner Miller moves the resolution. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Long. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Middleton. Miller.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Powell. Quarles. Spiz. Taub. Whitebird. Woodward.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Gershenson. Gingell.
Yes.
Hoffman. Jackson. Kokendorfer. Kowal. Kuhn.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Lubes.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes.
McGilvery.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient vote in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted.
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Tout? Commissioner Gershenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to introduce miscellaneous resolution opposing the deportation of Iraqi nationals and Chaldean Christians residing in Oakland County, and additional commissioners have signed on to this, including Gwen Markham, Helene Zach, Chris Long, Mike Gingell, myself, Bob Hoffman, Gary McGilvery, and Kristen Nelson. I'd like to refer this to the Lago Committee.
Referred without objection.
Oh, not at the top.
Commissioner Tubb?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to request suspension of the board rules for immediate consideration under new business.
This is for the Oakland County designation of the week of Sunday,
Oh.
April 28th, 2019 through
Yeah,
Sunday,
okay.
May 3rd as Days of Remembrance, and Thursday, May 2nd as the Day of Remembrance for the victims of the Holocaust.
Yes,
Correct.
thank you.
Motion to move to suspend the rules, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The rules are suspended. Commissioner Taub moves the resolution. There's a second? Second by Commissioner Long. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Miller,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Powell, Quarles. Okay. Spiz,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Weipert, Woodward,
Yes.
Zach, Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman. Jackson did not come back. Kokendorfer. Kowal. Kuhn.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Lubes.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes.
McGilvray.
Yes.
Middleton. Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient vote in the majority, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Taub.
Thank you. I would like to introduce Tri-Party Road Improvement Program fiscal year 2019 appropriation, Charter Township of Bloomfield resurfacing of Dublin Drive from Andover Road to Exeter Road, and I'd like to refer that to, I don't know where, but somewhere.
To the IGGY committee.
Lago? No.
IGGY.
Economic.
Infrastructure,
Okay.
Economic Growth, and.
Next one is
Infrastructure.
Tri-Party Improvement Program fiscal year 2019 appropriation, Charter Township of Bloomfield, resurfacing of Timberlake Drive from Lone Pine to the dead end, project number 54782. Now, this one.
Both of those are
Yes, sir.
referred to the Economic Growth and Infrastructure
This
Committee
one
without
should
objection.
be in Commissioner Gershenson's name. It's a tri-party improvement, so I'll read it for her because she didn't get it, and we'll have it changed, okay? Tri-party improvement program fiscal year 2019 appropriation, Charter Township of Bloomfield resurfacing of Gilbert Lake Road from Maple to Corton. I believe that's your district.
Not anymore. It used to be, but I was gerrymandered out of that district.
I guess it's yours now.
I don't have it. It's somebody else's district. I'll be happy to introduce it.
A road without a home.
but it's
Okay.
not mine.
Also referred to the Economic Growth and Infrastructure Committee.
I don't have anything south of Maple,
Okay.
west of Telegraph. Okay. The next one I would like to request to read, if I may, Mr. Chair?
To introduce it,
Yes.
you can read the title.
I would like to request reading the entire resolution, if I may.
You can read the title.
Okay. Family-friendly Board of Commissioners meeting calendar, and I would like to send this to Lago.
Referred without objection. Any further business to come before the board? Okay, so there's no new business. Any announcements? Commissioner Powell.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I wanted to share an upcoming event. Some of you may not know, but I am also the Director of Operations for Oakland County Sheriff PAL, Police Athletic League, which is under the leadership of Sheriff Mike Bouchard. He started this program about 5 years ago, and a lot of the kids that they service currently, when he took over the police department, which was 8 years ago, he's seen the need in our community in the city of Pontiac. So right now, majority of the programs that we're rolling out is in the city of Pontiac, but the good thing is we do have other kids, neighboring cities who participate in these free athletic and enrichment programs that we offer to the kids in Oakland County. However, the location of everything is in Pontiac. Now, this is an upcoming fundraiser, which is the Sheriff Pala Gala. It's our 4th annual, and I have an envelope for each commissioner, and I'm just asking that you all support this endeavor, because this ultimately, and our goal as a staff for him is that this grow to service all kids in Oakland County who can't afford to pay the activity costs that schools are charging and stuff. We're serving as an offset for them. So again, thank you for the time, and I'm going to give each commissioner one, and I hope you all can support, and I will have Amanda from the office give everybody a call to see if you can support. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further announcements? Except there will not be marshmallows dropping tomorrow. Seeing none, we will adjourn to May 8th, 2019 to 7 p.m. or call the chair.
Okay.
There is an airport committee that's meeting.